Okay, so some of the things that I've seen is that they allow you to communicate with your attendees. Like you could set reminders, follow up. You could actually even create an event and then post it into the Santa Clara website. That's a nice feature.
Also,
And you're
integration.
gonna talk about that, right? It
Yeah.
also has one feature that I think OMS didn't have. It was the ability. It provides attendees to cancel the events themselves before the admin has to do that. This one allows it to. And it
Before you go
also is
further,
very powerful agenda creators and stuff. But
oh
it's
yeah, you're hitting
really
them
nice.
all. You're just like jumping right
Yeah.
on. Do. You
Yes.
know where my introduction to Aventri was? COVID-19. Karen, who works for Craig, has used Aventri to develop all of our registrations for our vaccines and even the testing. I mean, I thought when I was registering for my vaccine, I'm like, man, they got their act together, whoever's doing this. And it wasn't on, I just stumbled upon talking to Karen one day and she said, oh, I did that in Aventri. I'm like, wow, that's great. Because it notified me, it reminded me, it did all the things that I would expect an event management system to do. So you're right on top of that one. Lydia, you know this, but the web team, Charles and Sonia, that updates our website, they report into my department, right?
Right.
I did not realize how much time they were putting into updating the web page with everybody's different events. Some people wanted lists, some people wanted PDFs, some people wanted just different formats. And when I found out that they were rallying behind Aventri because the ease of implementation, well, that gave me a completely different perspective as well.
Yes. That's a good feature. I mean, really, it was awesome.
Now, do you have to use all those features that you talked about, Lydia?
No, you don't have to. You could make it as simple as you want it.
All right. So I think today we're going to focus on making it as simple as you want it. Our goal is going to be how can we create an event in Aventri and get it to show up on our website? And I'm going to show an example of that website right now. All right. So this is a, what would you call it? A beta of the PL portal. And when I say beta, let me show you what the real PL portal looks like. And PL portal is the professional learning portal.
Sorry.
Okay, and this is what is actually live right now, and I'm showing you this one. And you can see that the way that it's displayed is actually it was hard coded. The folks that in our web team had to like type all this stuff in. If you've ever asked them to do things, they probably said, well, I need it in this format, and it was very difficult for them to maintain. We do have this nice PDF file right here, where if you click on this one, it opens up a PDF catalog. That's nice, but from the website, it was a little difficult to maintain. So they came up with this demonstration site. And what they did was they used Aventri to incorporate this. And you can see down below that now people can choose, well, I want to look at programs that are in arts. And there it is. I can choose only want to look at educator engagement. Now, we don't have anything in there right now, but all of the different types of things that we can now look at. Now, I used to have a computer science one in here for my last training, but it's no longer there. And the reason my event is no longer there, you're going to find that out, that it's not meeting one of the 5 criteria to show up on this PL portal. So that's an example of how now our web team can keep this site up to date and give us, the departments, the ability to modify our events, change our events, add our events in any which way we need. Lydia, could you correct me to make sure that I am showing the right page? Are you all seeing my screen?
Yes, we
Perfect.
are on the PL portal.
Perfect. All right. So before I go into the next section, I wanted to see if anybody has any questions, comments, or things that they'd like to hear us talk about on Aventri and how it integrates into a site like this. All right. I've got nothing so far, but by all means, raise your hand at any time. Now, Lydia, what if somebody was out there, like for example, TDSD, right? I might have events that I don't want on the PL portal, but maybe I want them on my own page, because you know that we have our own page under technology, right?
Yes.
Could I do that? Could I use Aventri for that?
Yes, you can. You just have to work with a web team to create that portal for our group.
That's right. So,
and you just have to put a service ticket through ServiceNow.
service ticket in. If you don't know how to put a service ticket in, you can always call me. I'll help you put the service ticket in and we'll still get that in there for you. But I could add now my own little event portal if I wanted to. And I'll explain to you one of the things that maybe you might want different on your event portal. But the goal is do we have a standard way of demonstrating our events? And one of the things that is the most important reason why you would want to use Aventri. And what is that, Lydia?
I'm sorry, I was hearing some voices.
What is the most important reason why we need to use Aventri?
The most important?
Most important.
Most important is, I thought we were told we have to use Aventri.
Yeah, you don't actually, it's not just a thought, that's a fact. We were told.
Yeah, it's the directive that we gotta use Aventri.
That's right. This is a good thing. And it sounds, sometimes we get directives and we're like, what? I don't want to do that. The executive cabinet is really interested in making sure that we have a one type of marketing for our events. Our executive team wants to be able to talk to our districts and say, all you have to do is go to this page and you will be able to see any event that we offer and see it in the exact way that they're all displayed. You couldn't do that if we didn't have a uniform way of doing things. So I'm actually happy that the executive team has gotten behind this to have a single way of doing things, because then it will make our jobs easier. We don't have to, on the development team for the web development, it makes our job easier. For, I know, Yee's team, they don't have to think about how many different ways do we have to market our event. Put it in Aventri, it gets pushed to the website. We've just simplified everybody's job. So yeah, we have to do it, but it is part of the job. All right. Everybody good with the have to do it? No thumbs, oh, good. I'm thinking we got thumbs up everywhere. There you go. All right, thumbs up everywhere. Well, let's take a look at Aventri. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, using Aventri, let's clear my screen up. I'm going to get myself an event right here underneath computer science. That's my goal. And if we can do that by the end of this training session, then we probably spent about 30 minutes longer than it should have taken me, right, Lydia? Because this is really a 5-minute task. I'm just going to go a little slow at it just to let you guys see what Aventri is like. So how do you log into Aventri? Well, I just typed aventri.com. And then I click client login, and I'm given the option to do an exhibitor login or Aventri client login. Exhibitor login, my goodness. Do we have any exhibitors at SECOE? Probably not.
Probably not. I don't know if we had it in OAMS, but yep.
Yeah, so this should give you an inclination of how big Aventri is. If you think of any conference that you've ever been to, that they have breakout rooms for the exhibitors and you can go in the exhibitor hall, Aventri can manage all of that, not just the people that are putting on the event, the exhibitors that are also going to be at the event. It can manage the communication to the people visiting the event. So it's a very large encompassing system that could be used if you need to use those systems. So we're going to click on, in my case, I'm not an exhibitor, so I'm logging in. And do not tell anybody in the IT department that I have saved my username and password. Violation of all IT protocols there, but for the training purposes, I'll edit that out of this video if you all don't mind. And I'm presented with an Aventri page. Now, I just want to give you this heads up. When I normally log into Aventri, this is what it looks like. And sometimes you can't see things like business facilities and it gets chopped off over here on the right-hand side. When I'm on my laptop, this is what it looks like. And I can't see anything and I've got to scroll around and all that stuff. I'm doing a trick on my keyboard that I think would be helpful for you, not to just use Aventri, but any type of website. What I'm doing is I'm holding the control key down on my keyboard and I'm hitting the minus and the plus sign. The minus sign is basically a zoom out. So you can see, and you can even see at the top, it tells you where I'm at. I'm at 110%, 100%, 90%, 80%. And you can zoom out or zoom in as much as you want to make it comfortable for you. So that was my first lesson in using Aventri is when you first log in, it might not look as pretty as you want it to. Use the zoom feature to help you out. And then once you find that one, then you're good. The other thing that I found out is that Aventri, just like Google and Microsoft, they love the hamburgers, and they got a little hamburger up top here. It's the 3 lines. Barbara, do you know where that term hamburger came from?
It looks like a hamburger.
Well, maybe that's what it is, right? It looks like a hamburger, so therefore it must be. If I click on the hamburger, it opens up my left navigation. If I click on the X, it closes it up. So I do that a lot because I like this navigation area. In my case, I happen to be an admin, so I see a lot of things that you all might not see. But what you should see is events and websites, and probably marketing as well. This is the area that we're going to be in, is the events today. We're going to talk about the websites in the intermediate training. So when I click on view all events, on the right hand side, I should say, it's basically showing me all the events, and we've organized our events based upon directories. Not everybody will see all these directories. When your account is created, you'll only see the directory that you're assigned to. So for example, Lydia and I work in the Technology and Data Services division, TDSD. And then I can click on the little plus, and I can see that there's a couple of organizations under that. Applications, Business and Web Systems Development. If I clicked on here, you'll notice that at the top of my screen, I'm actually seeing Technology and Data Services, Applications, Business and Web Dev. And then it turns out there's a plus there. I can go deeper. There's Business Enterprise Systems. That's Lydia's department. And then there's Web Services. And it turns out I can even go deeper because Rich Aldover decided he was so important that he got to create his own directory. And good for him, because I'm glad for that. That means he's using it. Well, I guess he's using it, but the only thing that's in there is Lydia's test event and Jim's test event. So I guess maybe not using it so much, but so that's kind of how the directories are created. We don't intend for you all to have to dig through everything. So the beauty of Aventri is when we create your account, we'll try to assign you to the department that best suits your needs. If it turns out that we assign you to the wrong department, or maybe you need access to multiple departments, just let us know. We can make sure that that's configured to your needs. All right, so that's the organization of it. Before I go any further on getting to the event creation, I'm going to take a step back and talk about those usernames. So what we found out is when we first started using Aventri, we were doing things kind of like maybe like the Wild West, because it was all so new to us, and we're like, we got to try it, got to get used to it. So I think Karen was one of the first people that we created an account for, and probably she created her own account. And you can see this was when we were using the old emails. It was Karen_Larson@sccoe.org. We create some that had the first name, last initial, and the standardization wasn't well implemented at the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to reintroduce that standardization. And what you'll find is if you have an account already, and many of you do, we may be changing the way that you log in to match your email address. So for example, I think if I looked at Cindy Tran, she is cytran@sccoe.org is her username. Now this will not affect anything that you've done in Aventri. It just affects how you'll log in. So all of the stuff that you created will follow you. And the reason why we want to do that is because we want to make our support to you as fast as possible. And when you call us up, when you put in a ticket and you say, I'm having a problem with Aventri, we'll know. All we need to do is get your email address, and we can figure exactly which account is having the problem. So we're going to try to make it that way to improve the support that we provide you. All right, before I get into creating that first event, which I know you guys are on the edge of your seats waiting for, is there any questions at this point? Barbara, is this the most riveting training that you ever been in?
It's riveting. It's
riveting. I know. We're getting there. All right. So now what we're going to do is look back at the events. I'm clicking in my hamburger. I'm clicking on view all events. And I'm reminding myself, once I do that one, and you can see the little thing is spinning up here, waiting for it to respond. So I'll just give it a few seconds for it to respond. That depending upon which folder I'm in, it's going to show me those events. I'm currently in the Cloud, Technology and Data Services, Richard Aldover folder. So I'm not seeing all the events. I can move around to look for other events. But for me, this is probably a good place to be able to create another Jim's test event. Lydia, can you give me any creativity on what name I can use besides Jim's test event? I've used that so many times.
I know. Well, why don't we use Barb for today?
Barbara's test event. That's
Yes.
a great one. All right. So the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click create event. Now, what I thought was neat about Aventri is Aventri is going to remember the folder that I was in. So it's actually going to create that event in that folder. I could change it if I want. I can put it anywhere I want it to be, but I want to make sure that it's in the folder that I have access to, right? I don't want to accidentally forget where I created it, which I've done. And it took me a while to figure that one out. Okay, so we're going to call this one Barbara's test event.
Well, I have a question right away then.
Yeah?
Will everyone see all the folders if they don't have access to save in the folders?
No, they will only see the folder that they've been given access to. So that's a good news, right? So you won't have to figure out.
Hopefully we won't be losing the events somewhere in somebody else's folder. Okay.
That's right. Unless they also have a Rich Ald over in their department and Rich created another folder for them too. That's another story.
And I also heard that there are certain admins that are assigned on multiple folder because they need to help out or something.
That's right. Yeah. So we will see that there are people that do have a role that spans across multiple organizations. All right. This was the first test on creating an event. I'd say that this one passes the easy scale, right? Mm-hmm. Notice that I'm not even going to concern myself with event code yet. That amps up the easy scale just a little bit harder, but I'm going to ignore it. Click submit. All right, so now Aventri, this has got to be the ugliest web screen I've ever seen. It looks like the font was back from 92. Probably one thing that they can fix on that one, but they give us the option of doing a registration with on-site registration module makes the registration process simple, or website. What we found is whichever one you click, it will take you to the exact screen on the next screen. So I'm just telling everybody, don't even worry about this. It doesn't matter which one you click because you're going to the same place. So I'm going to click the first one and it's going to take us to that next screen. Now, this next screen, it says, do you want to do standard registration, clone your registration settings, or user's registration quick start? The clone is totally cool. Not something I'm going to get into today, but this is why Karen whips out these registration things so fast. Once she set up her registration for that first COVID vaccination, Karen just jumped right in, cloned that registration, recreated it, and it was just immediate. I don't have anything that I want to clone. This use registration quick start. I kind of equate this one to Clippy. Y'all remember when Microsoft introduced Clippy back in the day? Well, when do you think that was, Lydia? Before 2000, right?
Yes, definitely.
And, when we first saw
it's a paper clip.
His eyeballs popped up, and we're all excited about Clippy, and we want to ask Clippy everything that we want to ask him. Only until we realized that Clippy didn't know what the heck he was doing. It just took longer for us to figure out exactly what we wanted, and that, in my opinion, is what the quick start is. It's a little bit like Clippy. It's going to take you through every screen and say, now, what would you like to do here? What would you like to do there? And if you like that, I'm not saying people didn't like Clippy, right? There are people that love Clippy. If you like the hand holding on that process, by all means use that one. I'm going to show you the standard registration settings because I'm impatient and I just want to see all the data that I need to enter. And that's where I've kind of stumbled on and where I found my comfort in. But again, I won't say anything negative about people that want to use the quick start guide. I think that totally is an option. Okay, so I'm using the standard registration settings. And what's a little different between the standard and the quick start is I'm going to now see all of my settings in one page. And as it pulls up, you'll see what I mean. See, I can scroll down and see all of my settings. I don't have to click on screen by screen and it asks me each one. We're going to go through these settings. You're going to learn the 5 things that are necessary in order to get your event on the PL portal. Now, many of us, even if you're not in PLISD, have events in the professional learning catalog. Lydia, did you know that we have a couple events in the professional learning catalog?
Yes, definitely.
If you have an event in the professional learning catalog, then it's your department's objective and also requirement to get that event in Aventri. Because otherwise, I mean, I can't imagine the committee that runs that professional learning catalog would be able to enter all this information themselves. So we're all going to take that on as departments. So Lydia, I think between you and I, we'll get our events in, right? And they won't be called Barbara's test event, but
Yeah, no.
all right. So first thing, we've already entered the event name. Let's go ahead and look at this event code. The event code is something that we as SCCOE can use as a way to, I guess, customize Aventri. And so when our web developers were trying to think of how do we know if an event belongs to the PL portal versus something else, they thought, why don't we just use event code? And what they did was they programmed it that as long as you type the letters P and L in this field event code, it will be one of the 5 requirements for it to show up on the PL portal. So that's going to be your first thing, is PL needs to be in the event code if you want it to be showing up on the PL portal. Lydia, do you think you would ever create an event without PL on the event code?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Why and why? Why would someone create an event without PL?
I don't really want it on that PL portal because it's on another website I want to, or it could just be a link that I'm providing to attendees. It's not really a main event that's out for registration.
Right. So maybe our event's not part of the professional learning catalog, right? So, and you totally can use Aventri for those types of things too. It's whatever makes your job easier. That's what we're here for. We've got the event code, the event URL. We've got this event URL called https:/na.eventscloud.com/ I could type /Barbara test event. And wouldn't you know it, that URL is available. Barbara, can you imagine that they've never created an event called Barbara's test event? Isn't that great, right?
I haven't started mine yet.
Yeah, that's right. This is almost, I'm going to say this is one of those things we could just ditch it. And here's why. The chances that someone are going to remember na.eventscloud.com is probably slim to none. So adding this special little thing like click me here isn't really going to help them remember that whole URL. So I leave mine blank. And when you leave it blank, at the very top right, I don't know if you can see this one, I'll zoom in. See it says event URL? You still get a URL. And we can still post this URL to calendar invites, to emails. We can post it on websites, our Facebook page. Lydia, you use Instagram every day, don't you?
Not
Barbara,
really.
you're Snapchatting, whatever you want to post it to, you still get a URL. So you don't have to worry about actually making it some really nice name. I leave mine blank. The event type. Is it an individual event, multi-day event, a conference, or leave it blank? I leave mine blank. The more you know, the more you fill out, the easier it is for your customers to understand what you're doing, but it's not necessary. All right, you see this little red thing that says, I don't know, it's an asterisk? That means you better fill this one out because it's not going to let you proceed if you don't. So on the event status, we have a lot of options. Sold out, pre-event, on-site, live, closed. I'll tell you the only options that I think of. The one is pre-event, and just think of that as it gives you the ability to test it. You can test your registrations, you can take a look at it, it's not going to show up anywhere. Have fun. And then once you're ready for it to go live, you put it live, and that's the only 2 options that you need to worry about. If you become more advanced and you want to use these sold out features, canceled archive, there are things that you can do in the communication to your customers by choosing those statuses. But in our case, we're just focused on live versus pre-event. This does happen to be the second one of the 5 things required to be on the PL portal. And because the PL portal will only pick up live events. All right, the event image. I've had a lot of people tell me that, you know, they put an event image, but they have no idea what it's for. If we look back at that PL portal, and we look at all the events, You see how this particular event, culturally and linguistic response to teaching, has an image on that? But this one right here, it says event image not available. This is where that comes from, the event image. So I'm going to choose an image. I have access to all the images that have already been uploaded. We got some people have already uploaded like their headshots and things like that. So I can choose from those, or I can actually click on upload new image from my computer, and I could just choose a file. This is just like any normal upload system. I'm going to cancel this one because I've already uploaded so many images that people are getting tired of me. And there is one called Mrs. Newell's first grade class that I uploaded. I'm going to select that puppy. All right. All right, now you just see these things include on event calendar and include on enterprise calendar. We haven't figured out what the enterprise calendar is, so ignore that one. But the event calendar, that is the calendaring system for SCCOE. This is a requirement if you want it to be shown up on the PL portal. So I've got PL in the event code, the status is live, and I've got include on the event calendar. Those are three things. Maximum registrations, for my meetings, I'm lucky if I can get 5 people to attend. I mean, this is probably the most attended training I've ever given, right, Lydia? That wasn't, don't answer that question. That was a joke. Yeah. And then registration close date, this is if you're going to be doing registrations. Not all of our meetings require registration. I mean, if you're just, for example, this meeting right here, you all didn't have to register for it. What I could do is just simply post things like the link to the meetings in the description. So you might choose that, you might not choose it. If the registration is closed, here's your message. Again, this ties back to the status. And then event description. I would say this is critical, even though it doesn't have one of those red asterisks on it. If you're not telling people what the event is, then it's going to be difficult. Now, I think I click in here, I'm trying to type and it's doing nothing, right? And what you need to do is click on this little, whatever you call this one. What it says is HTML editor, but don't let that scare you. It is not an HTML editor. As a matter of fact, it is the opposite of an HTML editor. It's called a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So we can now type in here just like as if we were typing in an email or like Microsoft Word, and I can type a message. And let's see, I'll click on this. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble here because the system is not going to let me type in here. So
got frozen.
It got frozen. So this is
Save
technology.
first.
It happens every time. Let me tell you what I'm going to do to make sure it gets unfrozen. I'm going to do save and exit. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my page up here. And then I'm going to go back into Barbara's test event. And let's get, and this takes me into the overview of the test event. There's a little pencil right here on the top left. I'm going to click on that one. And I should have gotten it out of the frozen state. So I'm going to go to description.
Still frozen?
It's still frozen.
Oh no.
I know. Did I type anything? That's all right. You're going to see me like, oh my gosh, what's Jim going to do now? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to close Aventri. Why not, right? Just go back, click on login. You'll notice that I did not save my password. And then I'll log in again. I've worked in technology so much to realize that if it's going to fail on me, and just press on. So let's go to Barbara's test event and see if I can pull this one off again.
No way.
No, it's good. It's good.
You're
okay,
typing?
So, yeah, it's
Okay.
good. So I'm going to now type my description and say, this is the funnest. I don't even know if funnest is a word, but bear with me. I like the word. This is the funnest event you'll ever attend. Click on the Zoom link here. Okay. And the Zoom link I'm going to have them click on is, let's see if I can pull that up. So I'll highlight this guy and I look for that little link thing. I type my Zoom link in there. Let's get rid of that little whatever carrot hat thing, and I put an exclamation. I'm going to go ahead and make this puppy bold. I like to increase the font size of all of this so people can read it because it's really difficult. So let's go with
14.
You like 14?
Oh, that's still small.
That's good. I like it.
Okay.
And then let's go ahead and put a thanks. And I forgot that I bolded that, right? So let's take the bold off, instead put it italicized on there. And I'm see if I can get that bold off. I don't know why I'm not getting that bold off, but well, let's delete it and I'll get the bold off that way.
Okay.
Thanks. Oh, still bold.
Now it should not be because it's no longer there you go.
Okay, thanks. Let's kill that one. Jim, and I'll italicize that because I like to. I don't know why. Let's go ahead and make that puppy extremely large. And then what color do we want to make that one?
Red.
Let's go orange, huh?
Okay.
Isn't that the best looking description you've all ever seen? It's as best as I can do, so it's going to be the best description. Now, do you see the ugliness of this? This is the HTML. I never work in HTML. I mean, although I know what I'm doing, I always use this WYSIWYG editor. It makes it so much easier, and then it produces what you need. Program manager, client contact, lodging notes, all not necessary. Location name, well, I can use that Zoom link if I want. Throw that, actually, let's see. If that was the right location. Yep, that's the right one. So I can, if I wanted to do that, I can put that there. Oddly enough, the only thing that's required on this page, even though it doesn't have a little asterisk, is they do require us to put an address, just the city. Actually, I don't know why it filled in everything for me, but that's necessary. And then, so let's see if I can get my mind back in. PL portal, PL was required. Live was required. Event calendar was required. Down here is the next one. The date of the event has to be in the future, because if the date of the event passed, why would we want to show that anymore? So I need to make sure that this event is in the future. And let's see, I normally hold my events at 3:30 in the morning, which is probably why I'm not getting many people coming to my events. And then the rest of this date format, I leave this alone. Time format, that's fine. I think I'm good to go. I'm gonna do save. I could choose save and stay. If I did that, it keeps me on this page. I could do save and exit, in which case it takes me back to the screen that you've seen before. So I've talked about 4 of the required elements for the PL portal. And if I go back to the PL portal, and I look at, well,
computer science.
It's not there.
Because we're missing one very important item.
The 5th one is only found at the overview page. So on the overview page, by clicking on the event, you can tell it looks a little different than everything else. I'm not having to click on the edit. There is a thing called program, and this was specifically created by the web team for the PL portal. And so they can, now I can choose computer science, and that becomes the 5th requirement. Now, if you wanted to have your own integration onto your web page, you may not use the word program. Matter of fact, if you wanted to have your own integration on the web page and you wanted something even more special than program, is that the right way of saying it, Lydia? More specialer? I don't know. If you wanted to have something special yourself, that web team can create some custom field for you too. So this is really very configurable, and by working with that web team, they can make sure that your environment looks exactly like you want it to look like. So I think I've completed everything. I'm going to click save and stay. Oh, let's fingers crossed, because I don't know if I can handle this one. I do select program, computer science. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Miss Newell's first grade is my picture. I've got, you can see the text is right here. I think 14 was a good font. Matter of fact, it looks very similar to the font size that the website is already using. I've got my thanks Jim here. Look at this. I can click on here and it goes right. Oh, I don't know what I just did. I think I started another Zoom meeting. But anyways, let's hope I didn't mess anybody up. But you can go to a registration page on Zoom, whatever it is that you want it to do. This is completely up to you. And with that, let's stop to see if there's any questions now. Barbara, make me feel good. You can ask a question and then I'll be like, that's the best question I ever heard.
I have a question then.
Oh, what is that?
When you were whipping through the program and explaining to us, you can use one of the predefined ones or we can customize it. Could you elaborate on that a little? What circumstances would we need to customize it?
Okay. So this program was specifically designed around the Professional Learning Services catalog. And that's where all these programs came from. I don't think that in this case, for the Professional Learning Portal, PL Portal, that we're going to be adding any more programs. But let's say, for example, that Barbara, in our department, we do QSS training. And maybe we want to have a special field called QSS module. And maybe we want to talk about purchasing as one module. I don't know, HR, position control, payroll, finance. Maybe we have those modules. So I can talk to the web team and say, hey, I don't really want to use programs, but could you give me a special field called QSS module? And they would be able to do that for us.
Okay, so it's using terminology that would make sense with what you're training in. Okay.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, I might think that's too much work. I'm not going to even use that feature. It's really up to each one of our departments to decide that, right?
And if a department decides to not put it on the PL portal and just host it on their own website, they wouldn't have to put it in this program at all?
That's right. Yeah. So
It's
for
not
example,
on the catalog.
and when we talk about our own website, that is like none of us really have our own website, but we have a department page, right? So for example, if I wanted to have our events on here on this particular page, maybe what I might tell the web team is, okay, it needs to be a live event. I think that's important. It needs to be in the future date. I want my code under what was that special field called? Event code. I want to only put things that have the letters QSS. So I can have my own event code now, right? And then maybe those are the only things I require. So I only have 3 requirements, in which case at the bottom of this page, they can show every event that meets those 3 requirements. So that's an example of how our department might use this.
Okay, and that would require some work with our web services group,
Yeah.
which we would request separate from Aventri.
Yeah.
Yes.
Usually it just, you start off by throwing in that request through ServiceNow, but you don't have to worry about the detail because you just say, have the web team contact me, because there's going to have to be a conversation.
Yeah.
So Jim,
right.
there's a question on a chat.
All right, Alice, how you doing? And I'll pull chat. Oh, I'm going to ask Alice to see if
It's actually Peggy.
Peggy says,
I can see Alice has a hand up, so let's go with Alice.
Oh, she does. Okay.
And then I'll get Peggy's question on chat.
So in the professional learning portal, HR doesn't have anything on there. My question is the professional learning portal just outward facing? Because almost all of HR's sessions are for SECOE employees. Should we request web services to add an HR heading on there, or should we just put our events in our own web page?
Alice, I'd go with that latter. I would say, let's let the professional learning portal be for everybody outside of SCCOE, and then you guys have your own. I've just been through sensitivity training, and guys is not the right. I'm looking at this group of people here, and there are many non-guys here. You all, that's a better way of saying it. You all can just choose to use it in the way that you need to use it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then, Lydia, I do not know why my chat feature is, oh, it's probably because it's hidden behind something, but could you help me out with the chat questions?
Sure. So Peggy is saying that the directive is to use Aventri. So why shouldn't we be posting it on the Aventri website, any of our events, instead
Why-
of putting
why
it into
shouldn't-
the appeal portal or the SCCOE? Why not just host it on the Aventri website?
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and I can see the question now. If the directive is using Aventri, why would we have any registration outside of Aventri? Why? And let's make it a little different on that directive is if your event is part of an SCCOE offering to the public, 100% use Aventri, use the Aventri registration. It's important that we follow that process. Not all events will meet that criteria. For example, Alice just told us that there are HR events that are only internal. That's not part of our professional learning catalog. Maybe it's just for a particular department, in which case you now have the option of deciding what works for you. Peggy, did I answer that one for you correctly? Or did I leave something unanswered? Ah, love it. I got the thumbs up. I'm going to take that home. I'll screenshot that puppy and we're good to go there. All right. We're just about done with the training, and I'm just going to show you one last thing before we go. And that is, do you notice that on the PL portal, which I just got lost from, so I will type. On this PL portal, on the events that we created, and I did the computer science one, you see this register button? If your event does not meet that requirement to need a registration page, just like we discussed, and for the HR, this is Alice, this is exactly what I'm talking about. In Aventri, the web developers, when they create your special, they call them a widget, because why not give it a fun name? And web developers like the word widget. Each of the different events widgets could have a different look. So for the PL portal, they've defined this is what it looks like. But if they wanted to, they could take that registration off of that that particular web page. PL portal, we want to have the registration link on, so we won't do that. Take that off. For my department, I will probably handle the registration. I could still use Aventri, but I'll probably just type click here to register and then take them to our Aventri page. That would give me the option of having events that don't have registration and having events that do have registration. So again, that's like, I just want you to be aware that while the PL portal is our primary concern, we want to make sure that we populate that, and our goal is by the end of May, it's completely populated. Aventri could be used for your other purposes in your organizations. All right, I have met my goals. I'm hoping I met your goals. You can now.
Are we turning off OMS at any point, Jim? Is OMS?
Yeah, OMS should be off by July 1st when our contract ends.
Hopefully nobody's still posting up there then.
Hopefully nobody is, right? That's a good question. Have a good day and enjoy. Give us, Lydia, Barbara, myself, a call, an email if you have any questions.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Lydia. And thank you, Barb. Great job.
Talk to you later.
Bye.